it's Christy with coastalknitsandpurls.com. It is Friday, February 24th, and I am a Florida knitter who shares my knitting adventures through the Sunshine State. So I'm going to jump right in. I have one finished object for this week. I finally finished my aunt's DK vanilla socks. This yarn was yarn that I won from a giveaway from Tater Tot Meeks. She has an Etsy shop where she does bags, so I won the yarn, a bag, and some other things that I use all the time. But I finally knit up the yarn. The yarn for the cuff and the toes is Knitpicks DK Swish, and it is the color Marina. The main foot is yarn from a company called Fly Design Yarn, and the colorway is called Roly. So I used the Crazy Sock Ladies DK Vanilla Sock pattern, but I did modify it just a little bit for her beginning of round when she gets to, I think it's the foot, maybe it's the heel. She moves the beginning of round to the middle of the heel, but I find that not to be necessary, so I just keep my beginning of round and my marker where I start to do the heel flap in the same spot throughout the entire sock, and then I just Kitchener the toe. She also has to move it at the toe, I think it is, or you have to end 3 stitches before the marker to finish off the toe. But again, if you don't move it up here, there's no need to adjust at the toe either. So besides that, I followed the pattern identical to what she has. I have all the project details on my Ravelry project page for DK Vanilla Socks, so you can check it out there. It is pair number 1 for 2025, so not only is it my first finished object for 2025, but it's my first pair of socks for 2025. I started them on January the 4th and finished on January the 22nd. So works in progress. I have my daughter's, my oldest daughter, Kate's hurricane blanket. I haven't worked too much on it this week. I've been focused kind of on other things, but I am still doing some rows here and there on that. I had originally said I was going to try to finish that by the end of January. I don't know if that will happen, but that's okay. My new mantra is it gets done when it gets done. My aunt's Woodsy Socks are still in progress. I am to the heel on sock number 1, and I did work a little bit on the cuff of the second sock, but not too much. I've kind of been focused on other socks. But this is Woodsy colorway from Freckled Whimsy. It's a self-striping yarn subscription. It is one of my favorite sock yarns, but I will get the February sock yarn, the fingering weight, and then I asked if I could switch to DK for a little while because I really enjoyed knitting these DK socks, and DK socks knit up so much faster than fingering weight. So we'll go to DK for a couple of months and see, where we are after that. I've been working on my Florida temperature blanket, and I am caught up. I haven't knitted today's row, but I've started and ripped this out now. I started 3 times and ripped it out 2 of those times. I originally was using a different pattern where there were mid-row color changes instead of having one entire row be that day and that temperature, but I just could not get the mid-row color changes to look right, and I knew it was going to bother me going forward, so I just ripped it out. 2 times I ripped it out. The second time was better, but it still wasn't quite where I wanted it to be. So I just decided to go with a, standard. And it's looking pretty good so far. I mean, there's a lot of weaving in of the ends that I'm going to have to do. And I've been trying to weave a little bit as I go so I don't get stuck doing them all at the end. But I am on that. And then the last work in progress are my oldest daughter, Kate's Christmas sprinkle socks. So sock number 2, I am to the leg. I'm only about 4 rounds into that leg. And then on sock number 1, I am done with the leg and starting with the heel. So this is Emma's Practically Perfect sock yarn, and the colorway is Christmas Sprinkles. If you've been following along, you know I owe Kate a pair of Christmas socks to replace her total failure knee socks that I knitted for her for Christmas in the same colorway. And that is all of my works in progress. So I have been contemplating knitting my first sweater, and I was talked into it by a bunch of ladies that are also knitters on Substack. So I have decided that this year at some point I will knit a sweater for the first time. I chose the flax pattern by Tin Can Knits. It's knit in the round and seamless, which is my preference, and I hear that it's perfect for a beginner, so I'm going to give it a go. Substack, that brings me to Substack. So I'm finding myself more and more attracted to Substack. It's generally speaking a newsletter type platform, but they have a notes area that is very reminiscent of social media posts. So I use that pretty regularly as well. And I just find Substack to be so refreshing, and really enjoy the information that I gather from other knitters there. So yeah, I'm more and more drawn to it. I am not at the point where I'm ready to delete all things meta yet. I'm not there, and if you are, that's perfectly fine. But we'll see. I mean, I am spending more and more time on there. So if you're interested in checking that out at all, it's coastalknitsandpurls.substack.com. What I read this week. I read When We Left Cuba. I finished Pride and Prejudice, and I finished Sometimes I Lie by Alice Sweeney. And I am currently listening to, and I'm really late to the party on this one, but thoroughly enjoying it, and sorry I didn't get to it sooner, Una Out of Order. It's very like Quantum Leap meets, I don't know, maybe a little Bridget Jones's Diary. So if you haven't read it, check it out. And what we've been watching, a little bit of Dateline, a little bit of Chicago PD, and a couple movies, but nothing, I can't think of anything else that we've been kind of regularly watching. But that is all for this week. So until next week, happy knitting.